Hi everyone, my name is Patrick Akil, and for today's guest, I had Emily Wiersma on. She's building a startup in the sex tech industry, and we go over all her learnings in there, the platform that she's building, and why that industry in the first place. She's the CEO and co-founder of Confetti with a K, and I'll put all her links to her socials in the description below. Check her out. With that being said, enjoy the episode.
Beyond coding.
If I work and I don't have anyone around me that says stop working, I can keep working for a long, long time, and it's not healthy, I feel.
Same.
Yeah.
So the issue with me is that if I relax, I start to freak out. So relaxing for me is actually not relaxing.
Yeah.
And I have 3 mentors at the moment that also help me with, of course, the business part. But they really stress the fact that I need to take care of myself as well.
Yeah.
So sometimes I just call them and I'm upset about something, or when something goes wrong and then everything starts falling down and you're like, oh, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah.
Well, if I have a moment like that, I just call one of my mentors and they would usually tell me, just shut off your phone, shut off your computer. Nothing's going to happen if you are not answering emails within 24 hours. Just go and have a walk, go to the gym, do something else, but don't work for now. So I'm happy that some people keep me accountable, and say you need to do something about your mental health as well.
That's really cool that you have that like support network in there.
Yeah.
How'd you get to a point where you have three mentors that have that level for you?
Oh, just ask.
Yeah?
Just ask. Yeah. So the first one I got, his name is called Floris Oskam. And he's a part of the Ondernemersklankbord in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
And it is a, how do you say it? It's a group of people that quit working or are retired. But Floris, for instance, is a former director of Unilever.
Yeah.
And very smart guy, very good job. And he helps me out usually with all the contracts. And if I have to have very hard conversations with peoples or partners, he's the one who joins me.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy that I found him. He's already been with me for almost 2 years, I guess. And then I'm also every other month or so, I have a call with Saskia van Uffelen, and she's the Belgium digital champion. So sort of the Nelly Kroes of Belgium. That's how I always introduce her.
Okay.
And she helps me more with staying sane and how do you grow a business? How do you attract people to work with? And that's really helpful.
Yeah.
And then the third is somebody who used to do a lot with startups here in the Netherlands called Niels. And he helps me with how the hell do you start a company? Because even though a lot is very straightforward, a lot is actually not. Because if you've never done it before, you really, really don't know what you're doing. And it doesn't matter. But you just need people around you to tell you, okay, now you need to go left or right, or not do that, or do that, or go where the energy is instead of fighting, against yourself. So without them, things would be a whole lot different.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, I've always said I want to start my own business. I don't know when the time is right.
Yeah.
But I like that you already have your network up to a point where you have like mentorship and guidance throughout that, right?
Yeah.
And you can, I think the best part is those discussions, right? You can take their advice and be like, well, thank you for your advice. I'm going to do this. But those discussions and those insights and those perspectives, their experience is going to help you a lot along the way, because probably you're completely trailblazing when it comes to your own personal experience. I don't know if this is the first company you're building up, but if this is, then it's going to be a lot of new learnings in there.
Exactly. And this is the first official company. So I did something previous before this, but it was, it was really funny. It was a embroidery set that you could buy.
Okay.
And you can create a little artwork that said Stronger by Battle, which is in Rotterdam Sterker door strijd.
Yeah.
And it's they actually got that sentence from our queen after the war because it was so bad in Rotterdam.
Yeah.
And I thought, I just want to create a product. It wasn't about the embroidery or about anything else. It was about creating a product from A to Z and doing everything in between to find out, hey, what is my strong suit? What do I like to do? And I actually got into the newspaper and that kind of stuff, which is really funny because the company was called Het Betere Handwerk, like the better hand job. So it was already in the stars that I would do something in the industry that I'm in at the moment.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of people that have that idea, but to pick it up and to actually do it, that's a second like kind of skill that you need to have as well. Otherwise, you're never going to make it, right?
Yeah, well, for me, I really hated working for a boss, so it was a no-brainer. Like I had to do something for myself, but the hard part was, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
So I've always had loads of ideas.
Yeah.
But never ever did I have an idea where I thought, I need to do this. This is gonna, and this is what I can do, and this is what I would like to do, because I learn something new every day, which is really nice. It's in an industry that I like. Plus, it's in a growing industry, so I can make money off of this, you know? And that was the hard part, finding the right idea that really resonated with me. And, you need to, it's an investment, not only in money, but also in time, especially with a two-sided marketplace. It's not like you build a website and it works.
Yeah.
So marketplaces usually take 4 to 5 years before they really take off. How are you going to fund it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Can you walk me through initially, like how you found this thing, what it is also? And I mean, you're in a niche that not a lot of people are in.
Yeah.
So let's kind of break the ice on that.
Yeah. So I'm in the sex toy industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. There you go. How it started? Well, actually, a couple of years ago, I quit my job at Oracle. And I started thinking, what is it that I really want to do? And it wasn't, I was thinking that, say you're 80 years old.
Yeah.
What are you going to tell people? Like, I used to sell cloud solutions.
Completely different.
Super boring, right? So I thought, okay, that's not it. And even though working there was a very interesting time and I learned a lot there, and of course, it's a big company, so it's good to have on your resume. But I thought, what is it that I really want to tell people about my life and about working life? Because I like to work, but what do you really want to do? And then I read the biography of Theo Hooft, which is the owner of Yap Yum, the most famous sex club in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
And what struck me was, even though that the stories were about sex, for me it wasn't about sex. For me it was about creating fantasies for people. People coming to you and saying, hey, I want to do this, I want to experience that, and making it a reality for them. And I thought, wow, that is so cool. And I'm a very open-minded person with my Dutch upbringing, and it's always been easy to talk about these subjects for me. So I thought, I need to do something with this.
Yeah.
So I started researching the sex industry. What can I do in Rotterdam? And my initial idea was to start a BDSM room, a high-end BDSM room in Rotterdam, because I was so stunned by the fact that people who want to do something with kink or with sex toys or with sex they can only go to places that are a bit dirty and a bit, it's, if you think of BDSM or if you Google it, the first thing you find is a dungeon, and it's red and it's black and it's exactly what you think it is.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, there's so much more in between. Why is nobody doing something with that? Because the market is probably way bigger than just people who want to go to those places.
Yeah.
So I already had a contractor. I was talking to the city of Rotterdam. You need to go to the police. I was talking to companies that work together with sex workers in the south of Holland.
Yeah.
And I was almost there. The plan was there. Everybody was rooting for me to start, and then Corona hit.
Oh, really?
So what are you going to do? You're not going to put all the money you have down.
No, you're done.
Yeah, you're done. So that led to me researching the sex toy industry, and I found out that this industry worldwide is unregulated, which means people or companies are allowed to sell sex toys that are toxic for the body.
Yeah.
And with that, I mean, it can lead to UTIs, it can lead to yeast infections, it can lead to chemical burns,
Yeah.
or just an annoying itch, But how is it possible that we live in a world where you can buy sex toys that are not good for your body or your health?
Yeah.
Right?
That's insane.
Yeah. I mean, were you aware of this fact?
No, I didn't know that it was unregulated. I mean, kind of my knowledge of that industry is very limited in and of its own.
Mm-hmm.
But I would assume that a lot of stuff should be tested because you're using it on
Yeah.
your body, right?
Yeah.
Just like moisturizer or hair products or anything like that.
Yeah.
That is all FDA regulated.
Yeah.
So I would assume this is kind of the same, but it's not.
It's not.
Yeah.
So I found out that the sex toy industry is unregulated, and started researching who's doing something about this. What else is going on? And I was actually going through the process of creating my own adult product. But then I started researching Amazon, Etsy, Wish, all the marketplaces.
Yeah.
And I found so many shitty and crappy products. And I was like, this is probably really unhealthy. So I started ordering some, and it's I didn't bring them all, but it is so weird to see everything that you can buy online, and very funny. But then I started talking to 40 plus sellers on Etsy to find out, hey, why do you sell here? Why do you sell body safe? What makes your items body safe? Do you really create it by hand? And I found out that there's just this sex positive, or sex toys are a lifestyle now for a lot of people. And it's not that niche, There's so many groups and people who talk about sex toys on a daily basis and really value body safety. So that, combined with all the complaints these sellers worldwide have over Etsy or about Etsy. For instance, Etsy and their censorship, they make money off of these sellers, but all of a sudden, from one day to the next, they can just say, okay, you're not allowed to sell here anymore.
You're done.
You're done.
Yeah, they have all the power.
They have all the power. And Etsy is not one to, pick up the phone and say, hey, but we can talk about it and you should do this or that.
No.
So these companies, for some, it's their livelihood, and they're not able to make money anymore, pay their rent. So that's why I thought, why not do it myself and build a marketplace for all these sellers that are not happy? Because I actually found out that there's a problem for these people. So why not solve a problem for them?
Yeah. What is the reason why Etsy would take them offline?
I'm not really sure, because they won't give one answer.
Yeah.
And they're not really strict about it. So one day they delete a lot. Some days some people can go back and create new listings. Some are completely banned. So there's not one answer to that.
Yeah.
Etsy had an IPO, and I think there's so many stakeholders involved now. And come on, guys, it's an American company. I mean, which is weird because they buy the most sex toys. They're the biggest market still. So
yeah, but I would assume that all those stakeholders, some were like, okay, we have to take this off. We don't want to be associated with any of this.
Yeah, and if you go on the Etsy community, which is really funny. So if if you go on Etsy and you type in unicorn, there is a possibility that a unicorn dildo pops up.
Yeah.
And if your kid is, sitting behind the computer and it's like, oh, that's a unicorn, and clicks on it, of course, the algorithm changes, or your feed changes because you're looking at that.
Yeah, and they're going to see more.
And there's so many complaints from very religious people who say, we have never clicked on anything like that, and we still get to see all these sex toys.
Yeah.
We are not having it, and Etsy is a dirty company or whatever. It's like, somebody clicked on it.
Yeah,
Come on.
Yeah. Be honest with yourself here. Yeah.
Exactly.
But you mentioned a lot of, because it is unregulated, right? You don't, as a supplier, as a seller, you don't have to have body safe products in the first place, right? Is it cheaper not to do all the testing initially to put that safety on there? Or
of course, materials like TPE or PVC are just cheaper.
So it's just cheaper.
It's cheaper.
Yeah.
That's the reason why they create sex toys from those materials. So if you look at medical grade silicone, which is the standard on my website, and that the sellers that sell on my website, they create sex toys with medical grade silicone.
Yeah.
It's so much more expensive, and especially for small companies, it's really expensive to buy small amounts of silicone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they also don't want to buy silicone from China, because in China, they don't give you a certificate saying, hey, this is really silicone or
Yeah.
medical grade. You never really know what you're going to get. So
With your marketplace, then I'm assuming you promise the safety, right, of the products, that it is body safe, that none of it is toxic.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what we do at Confetti is that before a seller onboards or becomes a seller and opens up shop,
Yeah.
We just have a call, usually at least an hour. I look at the products that they're selling. I ask them, hey, what kind of material is it made from? What do you consider body safety? Because you don't want to give all the answers right away.
Yeah.
And what has been very, very important in the research that I do is all the communities that are online. So on Discord, but also on Twitter, there are so many people who are very, very keen on body safety.
Yeah.
All the research has already been done, you know. So it's really easy to find out who's a body safe seller and who's not by just going on the internet and talking to people. And so before a seller comes on board and is allowed to create a shop, we just discuss what is body safety, what do you sell, and make sure that they fit our profile.
Yeah. I think that's awesome. Yeah. I love hearing how you kind of, through research, figured out, okay, this is a real problem in the market, right? And I was actually giving the attention that it deserves, because we're still talking about people, right? Just as you have shampoos or creams or whatever, all the regulation is in place for that, and everything is body safe. You don't even have to question it when you buy something from a store or when you buy something online. But for these products specifically, it's odd to me that it is not there.
Yeah, so and that was actually also my first experience with a sex toy, without making this a raunchy story.
Sure.
But I got it from a friend, and it was a jelly rabbit vibrator. And I opened it, and it smelled so bad. It was like, oh, what is this?
Like in a plastic sense?
Like
or?
in a plastic sense, yeah. So, but again, it's sold in Europe.
Yeah.
It's in a package.
Yeah.
It's fine, right?
Should be fine, right?
It has a CE logo, which of course is bullshit. But I thought, we're in Europe. This is fine.
Yeah.
Turned out it's not fine at all.
No.
The toy was made of TPE, Sporos. It harbors bacteria, and within 8 months, there's so many bacteria in it, it can lead to infections. And I was like, how come people don't know about this?
Yeah. Yeah, that's dangerous. Yeah, legit. You started with this idea, and you had this thought of, okay, I'm going to make a marketplace, right? Just like Amazon is, or just like Etsy is. Those are giants, though.
Yeah.
What is kind of the first step in figuring out how to build a marketplace? Because you need to be online. You need to be everywhere digital. Yeah. Otherwise, people are not going to find you. Yeah. What was kind of the first steps that you took?
Well, the first steps was finding out, how are we going to build this?
Yeah.
So I actually started out with working together with a digital agency. Which of course they told me we can build this.
Yeah.
But a marketplace, and especially with all the different variations we offer, because that is important with the sex toys that we sell, and it's actually a unique selling point.
Yeah.
You can create a sex toy according to your wants and needs. So how big do you want it to be? How firm do you want it to be? What colors do you want it to be?
Yeah.
Do you want extra effects on it? So there are a lot of variations that go in one listing or one product that a customer can order. And in the beginning, of course, everything was going great the first 3 months, and I saw something, and I saw some things that they delivered well on. But in the end, I never got a fully working marketplace.
Yeah.
So after about 8 months and losing a lot of money, the marketplace failed horribly, and I was stuck with a pilot group of 10 sellers from all over Europe that were dying to go to onboard and start selling, but I didn't have a marketplace. I was like, shit, what do I do now? So I started researching, how can I build a marketplace as fast as possible with only existing technology?
Yeah.
And that's when I found my new co-founder, Sander. He's a Shopify expert, and we said, okay, we're just going to try it with Shopify. It's low cost. Let's try to go live as soon as possible. And we were able to do it within 3 or 4 months.
Okay.
And now the first 25 companies have onboarded within only 4 months of being live. So
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
But your initial thought was like something custom, right? That's why you went to the digital agency.
exactly,
Yeah.
because I've never built any website before.
Yeah.
And I also looked at, of course, I also looked at Shopify back then, but I saved a lot of money because I always lived anti-squatter. So and working at Oracle, I just saved all my money. I invested everything. So I was like, okay, I have a good budget. Let's just do it right from the start,
Yeah.
And I got a little bit carried away with, you need everything custom. And I was like, yes, I want everything. And
Yeah, the most unique experience.
exactly.
Yeah.
I just got too excited. And so that is a mistake I will never make again. And to be honest, not having a big budget anymore is actually, it's really nice because there's so many options that are not an option anymore.
Yeah.
So you need to do with what's at hand.
You're limited.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And taking decisions goes way faster because it's like, okay, that looks lovely, but we're not going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
So we first need to do this and this and that. So actually, even though that I lost some money, and of course, it's not good for your mental health.
Yeah.
If you work at something for 8 months and nothing happens, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
But then again, this is also a good position to be at.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that perspective.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you can call it a failure, but a failure is a big word, right? It's a learning. And I think a lot of people face that. A lot of people, when they initially start building a tech product and they don't have any background in building a tech product in the first place, right? They're going to work with the budget they have, and it can be big or it can be small, but they're going to make those decisions based on their gut feeling at that point in time.
Yeah.
And you're never going to know if it's the right direction, right? If it was a different digital agency, maybe they would have delivered that marketplace, right? You have no clue. But those were the decisions, and those then also is the kind of experience and the perspective that you've gained. But I like that you're now playing around with more established technology, right? Starting small instead of completely custom. You can still go custom down the road, but initially we have to kind of prove those assumptions that you have, that this is a marketplace and that there is a kind of product market fit there.
Yeah, and even though that I did very thorough research, especially with the sellers, what do you need? What do I need to do different for you to leave Etsy and come sell at my marketplace?
That's a great question.
Of course, but they had a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
And most of it was actually already within the existing technology we're using now.
Yeah.
So we didn't even offer the minimum of the minimum viable product.
Yeah.
We offered so much more. Turns out 9 out of 10 stuff they're not using.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I learned is that you can do a lot of research and you can build everything everybody wants.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, like, most people don't even know what they want.
Yeah. It's hard.
It's and I probably am guilty of that myself as well.
Yeah, me too.
But I was so surprised. I did so much research. I did so many interviews.
Yeah.
And I built everything. And then we went live finally, and Sander and I were so happy. And then nothing happened.
Yeah.
I was like, what? But this is what you wanted, right?
Yeah.
What did I do wrong? But it's like people don't know what they want. So start small, add one feature. Are you going to use it or not? No. Okay. On to the next.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's also a mistake I won't make anymore. Yeah.
It's a learning, and I love that you're sharing these because when I'm gonna start my company, because I still think I will,
Ooh.
there will be a lot of like learnings I'm gonna have to go through, and I think the more people share their own perspectives and their own experience, it's gonna help others kind of pave their own path, right? And you're never gonna not make any mistakes. That is 100% never gonna happen. You're always gonna make mistakes, but the way you pick back up and you continue, I think that shows your kind of strength of character in that way as well.
Yeah, sometimes you just need to cry under the shower, and sometimes you just need to go for a beer and yell during a football game, and other times you just need to pick up and get back to work.
Yeah, I love hearing that. When it comes to kind of the whole build up, so you had the initial 8 months with the digital agency, and then another like 3 or 4 months when it came to the product with Shopify. What was your role in there? Because I'm assuming if you're a sole founder, you have to do a lot of everything, right?
Yeah.
Talk to the sellers, figure out the products, figure out what they want and how this is going to make sense, and how many people or how many sellers you need in the first place before you can go live. Like a lot of those thoughts probably go through your head.
Yeah.
Like, were you kind of the sole person, like in charge of kind of everything? Did you build up
Yeah.
a team? How did you handle that?
Yeah, so Sander joined Confetti after 8 months. So
Yeah.
when I didn't have a marketplace anymore and I had to build a new marketplace.
Yeah.
But before that, I was working together with a blogger because you need content. SEO strategy is just important and it's hard. So I
Yeah.
couldn't do that alone because I'm not the best writer.
Uh-huh.
And but apart from that, I was doing everything from policies to branding to social media to creating videos because turns out video presence is very important, but people also want to see a face.
Mm.
And that was one of the things that I was really weary about because I don't mind talking about sex or sex toys. I'm a sex positive person, but putting yourself out there,
Yep.
you know, online, saying, "Hey,
That's
here
a
I am.
brand.
These are a lot of dildos. I'm the brand."
Yeah.
It can also lead to some, annoying stuff or challenges, or usually men sending you a lot of
Oh yeah. Yeah.
unwanted or unsolicited messages. So that was a big step for me. Am I going to do it or not? How am I going to do it? Social media has been a bitch because you just get kicked off of every platform.
Yeah.
And for instance, with YouTube, I got labeled as a naked scammer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you weren't naked.
Yeah.
No.
Maybe a scammer, but
Oh yeah.
the naked part was definitely not true. No, but that is so weird because you're fighting these tech giants.
Yeah.
But you're actually you want to tell people about how to safely use sex toys
Yeah.
without making it raunchy or porn.
Yeah.
But then still you get kicked off. So that is an issue with YouTube. It's an issue with TikTok. It's an issue with Instagram. Less with Twitter because they still accept porn or pornography, real porn on there. We should see what happens, when Elon Musk continues to be the boss of Twitter. But so that has always been a big challenge. But also writing the policies. I mean, what are you going to allow on your website, and what is ethical and what is not?
Yeah.
And we also sell, or sellers on the platform also sell erotic art. But when is it still art and when is it not?
Exactly.
And I love to think about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of, I can assume that for the bigger tech companies, right, it's easier for them to see it black and white.
Mm-hmm.
If it's something even close to kind of sex and pornography and kind of those industries, then it's better if we ban it, and it's better if we don't allow it.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to educate people and be like, listen, first of all, it's unregulated. So whatever you might buy is unsafe for you. How else are they going to get that information? That is trustful,
Exactly.
right?
Yep.
These are kind of the sources that people go to. I mean, social media has helped people gain a lot of knowledge.
Yep.
And if that educational part is missing, then people are never going to know. Like, that's a huge shame that through that and through that kind of black and white thinking, you don't get a voice and you don't get that education across either.
Yeah, exactly. But then again, there are so many companies and initiatives all over the world, and especially run by women that really want to do something about this. So just I went to Berlin this October, which was interesting because I've never been before. But there was also a sex tech conference, and you just meet kindred spirits who are all facing the same challenges, which was really nice.
Yeah.
But apart from that, going back to your question, I started out with a pilot group of 10 sellers from all over Europe. So that was one of the goals I had when I wanted to go live, or before I went live. And I also researched sex toy collectors worldwide.
That's the thing?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
a thing. There are people who have cabinets full in their house with sex toys.
Interesting.
And fantasy sex toys. So I found out that there are so many kinks we don't even know about.
I can imagine.
Yeah, like exophilia. So wanting to be romantic with extraterrestrial beings.
Yeah.
And what I also found out during the research with the sex toy collectors is that the LGBTQ community is really rising and is really important within the sex toy industry.
Yeah.
Because they are not having all the phallic and all the old school dildos anymore. They require different toys that are just differently designed and more creative. So that is something that I found out as well. But yeah, I was everywhere.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I would imagine that would be the case, but probably like the energy and the motivation is that you're building towards like a vision that you have, right? And you're tailoring towards people that have never actually been tailored to, like even the LGBTQ community, or plus, there's probably a plus in there as well.
Yeah.
That's a community that's more up and coming and has a stronger voice now, but it's never been tailored to.
Exactly.
In this industry, in other industries, that's the voice that they have. And it's a shame that it's not happening, but it will never happen if people like you don't stand up and do something about it. So I think that's really admirable. I think it's really cool.
Yeah. And I get to look at a lot of nice images all day, every day. So at least, even though, it's still a job, I still need to crunch the numbers. I still need to do the nitty and gritty, which is, it's just a business. But then again, there's always something fun to watch on my screens. So.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, you mentioned one of the challenges being like a marketing presence, I guess, on socials. But that is where people, like a lot of people will find you, right?
Yeah.
Have you done anything else to allow people to find you that is not on socials because it is such a hassle to go on there?
Yeah. So I was a bit naive when the marketplace went live for the second version.
Yeah.
With thinking, okay, I built something, it is working. Supply and demand can come together and, a transaction is possible.
Yeah.
What else is necessary? Well, a lot. And then
people need to find you.
Exactly. And then I started reading more about how do you scale a company, because I was so focused on getting a product on the market.
Yeah.
But then, then the real work begins. So what really struck me was the sentence, you need to do stuff that doesn't scale before you can scale. And that is something that I've been thinking about a lot. So what is it? Do I need to do sex toy parties, but then in, the Tupperware parties, but then with sex toys to try to educate people, but also entertain a little bit, right? Because it needs to be fun. So maybe that's one thing I need to do.
Yeah.
One thing that I brought home from Berlin is the idea of creating a little handmade market, because people want to support small businesses. And what we actually found out over the last couple of months is that even though body safety, if people hear about it, they think, wow, I didn't know that. That's important.
Yeah.
But are they really going to buy it?
Yeah.
Not so much.
That's more important. Yeah.
Maybe we should focus a little bit more on the handmade part, on these are small companies that you're supporting. This is a unique product that you can customize.
Yeah.
Isn't that more fun? Oh, and by the way, it's body safe, so you don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the approach we need to go with. So I'm trying to do more stuff like this, podcasts, but also go offline and really talk to our different audiences to find out what they want and what they need. And the only thing the main thing they told me so far is that we want more products. We want to see everything that's there. So, yeah.
That's crazy. I love the phrase, before you can scale, you have to do stuff that doesn't scale.
Yeah, I mean, Airbnb, I think they sold cereal boxes for a while.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Boxes. Like,
I wouldn't imagine that.
Yeah, but but learning about their story was like, okay, so I can just do stuff that might not be very relevant or might cost me a little bit of my budget.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just need to snap out of it as well, because it's just me and Sander behind a laptop or trying to convince people, please come to our website. But it's that story really taught me that sometimes you can just take a step back, do something really different, and probably you're going to end up with a new idea, or with a new vision or something. So
I like going to like conferences within the same niche and listening to what other people are doing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because in there lies a lot of inspiration, I feel like.
Yeah. And also if you look at Berlin, there are so many sex positive events. And I was stunned by how many people on a Monday night would go to an event called Smut Slam, which we're sponsoring now, by the way. And it's an event where you can tell dirty stories.
Okay.
And I was like, who's going to go there on a Monday to tell a dirty story? Yeah. Well, me, of course. And it was so funny because at first I was like, everybody here is probably really rehearsed their story and is really good at it.
Yeah.
And then I watched the first person get up on stage and I was like, yeah, I can do this. So I added my name to the bucket later,
No way.
thinking they're not going to pick me right. You know? Yeah, of course, within a
of
minute,
course.
it was like, Emily, please get on stage. I was like, oh my
There we go.
yeah, but I won, which was nice. And then
Congrats.
ended up sponsoring the event because they do it worldwide. But just to see that there is a need for sex positive events, and it doesn't have to be about the education part per se, but just about having a safe space to talk about this kind of these things.
Yeah.
So that might be an opportunity as well to go offline and organize more about sex positivity.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. I mean, figuring out what works, what doesn't work, what's your strongest USP, what do people like really grab attention to,
Yeah.
plus all the other benefits that you have, right, as a marketplace or kind of the values that you have in there.
Yeah.
I think that's very important, kind of figuring out things now that you've been live.
Yeah.
Like, is that like the strongest focus point that you have now? Or is it still like finding more sellers and kind of growing the product suite that you have?
Well, my focus is, so I like sales. I like going after companies and getting them on board.
Yeah.
But I'm very happy that Sander has agreed to become my co-founder now because he does the website, he does the tech part, he knows e-commerce. So I can focus on sales, attracting more sellers, but also it gives me the opportunity to experiment more with what are we going to do with this?
Yeah.
What are we going to do with this?
How did you find Sander? Because we've named him as your co-founder, but that means, I mean, I think when you started, he wasn't in the picture. You mentioned he's only been in the picture for like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
Was he throughout your own network, or how did you guys meet?
Yeah, via my network. So there was I used to have an office in Rotterdam at Microlab, and I talked to a girl there, and she said, "You need to talk to a friend of mine because you're stuck. You need to build a new website. You've run out of budget. What are you gonna do?" And I was like, "I don't know. Just call him." And he gave Sander's number to me, saying he can help you build something really fast. And I was like, this is it. This is it.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to, look further. This is it. And we just hit it off. I don't know. It's just easy to work with him. And finding a co-founder was, what should I say about this? So I put up an ad online on LinkedIn saying I'm searching for a co-founder, but be aware, it's in the sex tech domain.
Yeah,
we're building a marketplace. Just be aware that it is about sex toys, but it's still a tech company. And there were only men.
Yeah,
it's like more than 100 guys, mainly from India and Pakistan, who reacted to my job ad.
Yeah.
It's like, shit, how the hell am I going to find a co-founder, because this is not it.
Yeah.
And then somebody told me, just go where the energy is.
Yeah.
Who do you like to work with? And I was so focused on, okay, somebody needs to be very senior and has done everything already. It doesn't matter. Who do you like working together with? And it was a no-brainer. It was like, yeah, Sander.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you also wanted someone that would be like physically in Holland, like working closely with you, or was it kind of?
I prefer that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I like to look each other in the eye and have meetings from time to time, face to face. It wasn't a requirement, but it makes it. And I think, talking in English, I'm used to doing business in English, but still, there's a lot in language and a lot of nuances. And you are starting a company together, and he is, going to get the equity and whatever. So it is important that you really understand each other. So I prefer somebody to be at least in the same country as I am.
Yeah. I mean, everyone has their preferences, right? But when you're starting something from scratch, I think it's important also to build up that relationship.
Yeah.
And that is just easier to do when you can be in a physical space with each other.
Exactly. But no, and besides that, it was also important to, after so many months of working at this alone, actually, as a solo female founder, it was just important to get somebody on board, because actually also with investor meetings, like people have literally said to me, you need to have a guy, sitting next to you at the table.
Why?
Yeah. So I asked them, what does this guy need to do? what job does he need to have within Confetti? And they told me it doesn't really matter as long as you have a guy sitting next to you.
Okay.
Okay.
That
But now I have a guy sitting next to me,
sitting next to you.
problem fixed. So
check that box.
exactly. So I can get really mad about that this is still a reality, that this still happens.
Yeah.
But I mean, come on. I also want to play the game, So now I have Sander.
Yeah, exactly. It's sad that it's a thing and you can get really angry about it and try and change that industry. But that would be a full-time job then, I feel like.
And besides that, do they need me or do I need them?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's good. Have you had another try at it then? Because I'm assuming you went at it alone initially as a sole female founder and you got that as feedback. Have you tried a second round with Sander now next to you?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Because we're first doing some goal setting for 2023.
Yeah.
Trying to see what we can do ourselves and really get some more interesting data before we sit at that table again and talk about investors, because I don't think it's necessary at this moment because we are using existing technology, costs are actually pretty low.
Yeah.
And there's so much you can do yourself. And because we can divide the work now, it's not, I think we can make something of it ourselves before we start talking about giving away more equity.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, you've had so many learnings throughout kind of your journey. It's really impressive, first and foremost, but I'm really thankful that you're also sharing that, because the way you go about it, right? Some people can really just dwell into that and be like, no, that never happened. Like, I didn't feel there. But I think it's again, a strength of character when you can say, okay, these things happened and I learned from it, right? And yes, they did bring me down probably, but again, how you pick it up and move forward is very important. And now you've learned that, okay, I'm going to first do these things. I'm going to gain more data before we actually have another go at it. Yeah. And actually right now we're kind of good, so we don't need to have a go at it. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, I mean, if you look at what's happening in the market, if you look at what's happening at Etsy, we're probably heading for a recession. More people are going to want to do or have a side hustle.
Yeah.
Creating sex toys is a side hustle. So, I mean, it's going to be very interesting times. And, I'm still sitting at home with the heater on. I still have food. I mean, I'm not sad. Yeah.
I can imagine.
It's a bit less than when I used to work for Oracle. But anyways, that's okay.
What matters is that you're happy, right? No,
I'm happier. I'm happier. Yeah, definitely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How much did the dynamic change now that you have Sander next to you as kind of a co-founder? Because initially it was you're the founder, all the decision making, but also all the responsibility, all the accountability, right? Which is fine because it's you. But now that you have Sander, and I don't know if you're going to branch out and kind of create a team around you two, that's going to differ, I think, in dynamic.
Yeah. So the thing is, I'm used to taking decisions myself, and I like to take decisions really fast.
Yeah.
But if you want to grow your company, you really cannot do it alone. So I never envisioned myself working at this 4 years by myself and doing everything alone. So we are also talking about a possible rebranding, because I think it is important for Sander to also feel that the company is his.
Yeah.
So if we do a rebranding together, which of course naming the company was, I shouldn't have gone for that name. I tested it, everybody liked it, but nobody's really able to remember it, or how to type it. So of course it's not working. So we need to change it anyways. I'm not saying we're going to do it within a couple of weeks or within a couple of months or whatever, but we're talking about it. So I think that I told him, if we do a rebranding, I would love for you to be a part of it, because it will be more your company as well. It will feel more like your company.
Yeah.
And I think if you're good friends, you can also do business with each other and just be honest with each other. But there are some behaviors I think I need to unlearn. But we'll see how it goes. We just started this adventure together, and but I don't want to do it alone, and I trust him, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I think that's really cool. Yeah. Is it? So I'm saying this in the kind of the perspective of the podcast, because this is going to be episode probably 86, something like that. And I've also had chats with people that say, okay, you're doing a lot of work and the work would be less if you find like a co-host or people that can help you with this.
Mhm.
But I'm like, okay, I've built this from the ground up. Like finding a co-host like this late in the game, I don't know if it's going to add value to the show and it might reduce my workload. But yeah, then it's no longer mine. Then it's from me and someone else because they're kind of the co-host.
Yeah.
It's kind of comparable to finding a co-founder. Like, did you struggle with giving that part of the company away, or what was kind of your mindset in there?
But it's a company.
Yeah.
Like, I think for you, this is more of a creative outlet
Yeah.
that has really your stamp on it and your personality. For me, Confetti is a marketplace that has its own tax number.
Yeah.
And that's what
That's
it
it.
is. So sometimes you need to take the emotion out of it. And if somebody tells me, yeah, I hate the colors that you use on the website, well, what would you prefer? You know, yeah,
Exactly.
I don't care as long as we make money.
Yeah.
You know, and as long as the sellers that are on the platform are happy, as long as people are buying and they come back and buy more.
Yeah.
And in the end, I hope to make an impact on this industry. And does it matter how much equity I have in my company? Well, I hope it's going to be, you know, enough to make a living. But does it really matter? You know, it doesn't.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's amazing. One of the thoughts I still had as kind of a final thought is whenever I envision someone starting a company, right, being very close to your customers, and you kind of have to because you have the selling side and the consumer side, is most important, right? Figuring out what they actually need, not what they're telling you they need, because they're going to tell you a whole slew, but what they actually need, and implementing that and accommodating for that is probably one of your biggest factors in kind of success in there.
Mm-hmm.
How do you gain that feedback in the first place? And then how do you pick out kind of what to implement and how to accommodate for that?
Well, there are two sides to this because it's a two-sided marketplace. So, of course, we have the sellers that create the listings and have their own companies and sell the items on the website.
Yeah.
And then we have the end users. So there are two different groups to reconsider.
Yeah.
For the sellers... So what was the question again? Can we go back?
How do you get the feedback of what they actually want, like feature-wise or accommodation-wise? Like why do they want your platform? How do you listen to them, gain that feedback?
Yeah. So
And then how do you decide what to implement?
every time I start doing business with somebody, I tell them I'm Dutch, but I'm really Dutch.
What does that mean?
You can tell me anything.
Okay.
You can always give your opinion. And it doesn't matter what you say to me. If you hate it, tell me you hate it.
Yeah.
But tell me what you want.
Be honest.
Be honest.
Yeah.
But really be honest to me. I can handle it. You know, I'm not going to cry. Tell me everything. And that usually leads to a lot of emails of people complaining about a lot of stuff, which is fine, you know, because again, it's not personal.
Yeah. That means they care.
Yeah. So tell me whatever you like. Or why are you not onboarding?
Yeah.
What is it? What is holding you back? Or is it something that we can do? And what I notice is that as long as you keep talking to your customers, and I hope that people like the fact that they can be really honest with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm also Dutch. So
Yeah. So that's what I do with the sellers, and there are always early users that are very involved. And what I notice is that a lot of the sellers that create the sex toys are also in IT.
Yeah.
So sometimes they even know more about the stuff that we're building than we do or that I do. So it's like, okay, yes, I can only listen to you and I want to hear everything that you have to say. And it's about not only giving them the feeling, but also showing them that what they say and the feedback they give us, we really do something with it.
Yeah.
And that is something that I get really positive feedback about, because they just say, if we call Etsy, if we call Amazon, nobody's picking up the phone.
Yeah.
And at least I'm trying.
Exactly.
Like I'm still fucking up, but it's she's picking up the phone and
they
she's
know
talking
you.
to us and we know her and she's trying. And sometimes, you know, it's not working or a feature is not working, but we know she's trying. And
Exactly.
so that works. And with the end users, it's actually really easy. I just go on Twitter, talk to people and call with them for hours sometimes.
Yeah.
And people tell you everything, because if they are passionate about something, or it's their hobby, or they collect something, I mean, you love to talk to stuff that you're passionate about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just get on a call, ask people, do you want to tell me more about, collecting sex toys? And they do. And you talk for 2 hours and you understand more about what's going on.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
I would have expected some kind of complicated thing with like surveys and like data, but it doesn't have to be complex, right? Listening to these people, it's their passion from the consumer side, and sellers just want to make a living, and they have to have a reason why they want to onboard, right? And if there's any issues, they're going to voice their opinion because you've allowed that safe space and that honesty in there. Yeah. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
That you've kind of simplified it for now. I think also the scale of things allows you to do so.
Exactly. I still have the time to call everybody and be like, I'll get on a video call right now. And of course, sometimes I'll pretend I'm very busy and, I'll make time for you. But sometimes I just have time, but that's okay. But no, and also with talking to the end users made me realize that sex is not a niche.
Yeah.
And sex toys are not a taboo. So we should stop calling it that.
Exactly.
Really, because it's not.
Yeah. Is that kind of a final vision then for the company? Like, what is the end goal of the company? Is it to educate people more, to allow for that safe space online somewhere, be the marketplace for that?
Become the biggest sex positive marketplace in the world.
Yeah, I love that.
That's it. And to be honest, it's starting out now as a marketplace, a two-sided marketplace. Who knows what's going to happen within 5 years, It depends on what the people want and what we can build and how fast we can go. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to incorporate more video on the website, because if YouTube keeps kicking us out, what are you going to do,
Yeah.
And video content is still very important. So
yeah, it's very strong.
I don't know what happens.
Yeah.
We'll see within 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, you've already showed that due to the whole COVID experience, you can pivot, right?
Mm-hmm.
You started with an idea, and then you were like, oh shit, COVID happened.
Yeah.
You could have let that brought you down, but you figured out how to pivot and have this thing now, and it can evolve then 5 years down the line as well, which you've shown also. I think that's really cool. Cool. I've loved learning about kind of your history and how you got to this point, all the learnings and all the experiences along the way. Is there anything you still want to share with our audience before we leave off?
Visit confetti.eu if you want to see stuff you have never seen before. And I promise you've never seen it before.
That's awesome. Yeah. I'm going to put all Emily's links in the socials in the description below. Emily Wiersma.
That's it.
Confetti is going to be there as well. Check that out if you're interested. Let us know what you thought of this episode, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you for listening.